Hello, everybody. If you don't know me, my name is Caitlin and I read a lot of books. So, yeah. So, I was just going through some of my anticipated releases and like looking at their dates because, sometimes dates change. And I saw on Goodreads that the Goodreads Choice Award nominees are out. So, I'm going to go through and look at them and vote. This looks so uncomfortable, but I swear I'm not uncomfortable at all. Or maybe a little bit. Also, I just filmed my thrifted book haul. So if you want to go see that, definitely go check that out on my channel. I have a long form version and a short form version. So that's why all these books are stacked right here. They have to find a home after this. I need to reorganize my bookshelf for the 1 millionth time. So let's look at this. Okay, so this is the opening round of the Goodreads Choice Awards. So it says I already have some nominees on my shelves. One is the full cast edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which I have not listened to. I don't know if I'll ever listen to it, honestly, because I'm really partial to the Jim Dale audiobook versions because those are the ones that I grew up listening to in the car and I love them. I do love the idea of full cast audiobooks. Love the idea of full cast audiobooks, but I probably will never listen to that one just because I'll pick the Jim Dale one. And then the other one that says is Sunrise on the Reaping. That does not surprise me whatsoever. All right, so there's different categories. Let's see. Voting schedule. So the opening round started yesterday and it goes till the 23rd. And then the final round is the 25th through the 30th. And then winners will be announced December 4th. Let's quickly look at the rules and the eligibility. In the first round, there are 20 books in each of the 15 categories. Members can vote for one book in each category. I'm sure there are going to be categories where I haven't read any books, so I will just refrain from voting from those if I can. The final round, it goes to the top 10, and we have one chance to vote again. And it says 2025 eligibility, books published in the United States in English between November 13th, 2024 and November 11th, 2025. Books published between November 12th, 2025 and November 10th, 2026 will be eligible in 2026. Opening round official nominees must have an average rating of 3.5 or higher at the time of launch. A book may be nominated in no more than one genre category, but can also be nominated in debut novel and or audiobook categories. Okay, so for example, like YA might be, YA fiction is one. So even if something's YA, but it's fantasy, it'll probably just be in YA fantasy. I assume that's what it means. An author may receive multiple nominations within a single category if they have more than one eligible series or more than one eligible standalone book. Oh, only one book in a series may be nominated per category. So the authors who churn out multiple books a year in the same series cannot be, so it cannot count. So for example, if like Iron Flame and Onyx Storm had both come out in this time period, which they didn't, then only one can get picked. But if Rebecca Yarros had another series that also came out within that time, then she could have two if they're in different series. That makes sense. So that's the rules and eligibilities. Let's go through them. So I'm going to start in fiction. That's the first one that pops up here. So fiction. Readers, and it takes me to a new thing. Readers' favorite fiction. Let's see if I see any that I know. I see some authors I know, but I have automatically not read any of these. I've heard of Friedrich Bachman's My Friends. I've heard that's really great. Have I heard of any of these other ones? I actually have not. Ellen Hildebrand, The Academy, I have heard of. I haven't read any Ellen Hildebrand ever. Ooh, Layla Motley, The Girls Who Grew Big. That looks interesting. I don't tend to read just straight fiction because it tends to be boring for me. They're either a 5-star read or I hate them. There's really no in between. I tend to stick to my like fantasy, romantasy vibes. I'll throw in a mystery thriller every once in a while, but I'm reading for escape. So reading fiction doesn't really, straight fiction, like literary fiction, doesn't really help me that much. So I'm going to skip fiction. Historical fiction, I might have read one of these. Ooh, The Amalfi Curse. I've heard of that. Atmosphere. Loved Atmosphere. Secret Book Society. Never heard of. Okay, I'm going to vote for Atmosphere. It's the only one I've read, and I loved that book. I gave it a 5-star read. So let's vote for Taylor Jenkins Reid. Very happy about that one. I'll be shocked if that one doesn't get up there. Though I know that some people didn't like that as much as there were others. That was my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, so we'll see if I like some of the other ones more. I do have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo up there in my TBR land, which is above my head. But yeah, I gave that book a 5 stars. I read it on audiobook I read most of it in one sitting. Really enjoyed it. Made me cry at the end. So next up, reader's favorite mystery and thriller. I see Holly Jackson is on there. I haven't read that book of hers though. That just recently came out, I want to say. I've heard of Forget Me Not, but I haven't read it. Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister I've heard of. Frida McFadden. I've read one Frida McFadden short story, and I thought it was okay. And there's another Frida McFadden, and then Geneva Rose. I love her. She pops up on my TikTok all the time, like signing stuff in stores. But I actually haven't read any of her books because I just don't go for mystery thrillers most of the time. But I kind of want to because she seems like such a vibe in and of herself. All right, I'm going to skip this category. I also have not read anything in this one. That doesn't surprise me. All right, here we go. Romance. Spiral I have not read, but I want to read because that one, I love a sports romance. And there was a sports romance. What was that book? The Striker by Anna Huang I read that had a dancer in it. And I was a dance major. I am a professional dancer and dance teacher. So sometimes reading books with dancers in them, either it's great because I'm like, I get you. You're actually using the words in context that make sense. And then other times it's like people are writing about dancers even though they have never like experienced dance, and it shows. Do want to pick that one up though. Lucy Square. I haven't read any Lucy Square. Megan Quinn, Till Summer Do Us Part. I also have not read. And then Emily Henry. I've only read one Emily Henry so far, and that was Beach Read. I read Beach Read. The next one I want to read is People We Meet on Vacation, and then Book Lovers. But I've heard really mixed reviews about Great Big Beautiful Life. I've heard that it's more lit ficky than romancy, and I thought Beach Read was just okay. Her writing style is a little more fluttery than I usually go for, but I do want to read more of her books, but I have not read that one. Carly Fortune One Golden Summer I have not read. Rewind It Back I have read. That is Liz Tom Ford, the Windy City series. I liked that book. I love that series in general, but I did like that book. And then Allie Hazelwood Deep End I have not read. The only Allie Hazelwood I read is I read a short story by her, and I read Check and Mate, which I really liked. But that came out a couple of years ago, so I will probably read Deep End at some point. Kennedy Ryan Can't Get Enough I have not read. Scythe and Sparrow is part of the Ruinous Love trilogy. I accidentally read the novella that comes after that set of books first. I wasn't planning on reading those books anytime soon. They intrigued me, but dark romance I have to be in the mood for. So I have not read that, but I did accidentally read the short story that came with it. I haven't read The Favorites, haven't read The Gingerbread Bakery. I don't know if I'll ever read those books. Maybe if I really need a fluffy romance, but I've heard that they're just very, very cringy, and I find most romance books to be a little cringy anyway, so I don't know if that might be too much for me. I have read King of Envy. It says I haven't, but I have, and I liked that one. That was Vuk and Ayana, right? Yes. I like that one. That was darker. The one of the darker Kings of Sin series, but that was not my favorite one in that series. And then the other ones, what else have I? Okay, I've read 2 more. Okay, so romance I'm doing good with. Romance, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4 of those books. So the next one I read was First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I really liked this one because it was set in Baltimore, and I'm from Baltimore. I live in Baltimore, or right outside of Baltimore. I actually really liked that book too. It was I want to say it was a 4.5 stars or 4.25 stars. I did like that one. And then the other one that I read is Abby Jimenez, Say You'll Remember Me, which I had mixed feelings about. I liked Abby Jimenez's books in general. I've read Just for the Summer, and that was a 5-star read. But this one was weird. The pacing was really off on this one. There was something up with this one. So while I liked it, I will not be voting for it. So no to that. Maybe to First Time Caller, maybe King of Envy, and maybe Rewind It Back. I think I'm gonna go with First Time Caller. Ooh, okay. Reader's favorite romantasy. Here we go. Opening round nominees, we have A Compendium of Lost Tales, Emily Wilde. I have not read any of those. Silver Elite, I have read and I really liked. I know that people thought that was overhyped, and I agree, it was probably overhyped, but I really enjoyed it. Dystopian romantasy really hits for me, especially the first book. In any dystopian, I'm usually a first book I like, and then it gets downhill. But I really liked Silver Elite. I liked the combination. The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy is Hermione fanfic that I have not read. Rachel Gillig. I haven't read any Rachel Gillig. The Wrath of the Fallen, no. On Wings of Blood, no. The Songbird and Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent is a part of the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and I've read the first duology in that little lengthy universe. And then I read one of the novellas, and then I haven't read any of the others, so the second duology, because I think they're going to be little duologies all together in a big series, and I haven't read this one, but I liked the first duology a lot. I liked Crystal Broadbent's writing a lot. I just have to be in the mood for it. Alchemized, I have not read Alchemized, but I have read Manacled. So I'm not going to vote for Alchemized, even though I've read Manacled. I read Manacled at the beginning of this year before it was taken off AO3 and gave it a 5 stars. Loved it. But I am really intrigued to see the differences between Manacled and Alchemized. Another one, Our Vicious Oaths, I have not read. Mate, Allie Hazelwood, I have not read but heard great things about. Rose and Change, Julie Soto is another Hermione fanfiction. Direbound, I have not read, but I want to read those books. Bounds of Hercules, I have not read, but The Blood of Hercules is in my Kindle Unlimited. Like, I have it downloaded to my Kindle, but I haven't read it. Same with Shield of Sparrows. I have not read it. Onyx Storm, loved. Was it my favorite in the Empyrean series? No, but I loved it. It's still a 5-star read. My 5-star reads are all based on vibes. It could be a terrible book, but if I keep thinking about it forever and ever and ever, then it's a 5-star read. Some books I can't help but give 4.75 star reads, even though like I can find no fault with the book, but I just don't think about it a lot. So I have 5-star authors, I have 5-star series, and so both Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm are all 5 stars, even though I can take criticism on them. It's just my vibe. Rebecca Ross, Wild Reverence is, I think, a prequel to Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I've read Divine Rivals. I have not read Ruthless Vows. It is on, I need to read it this year because I need to just get it over with. But I've heard pretty bad things about it. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping I have not read, but I want to read. Accomplice to the Villain I've read and I liked. Enchantra I have not read. I just finished Phantasma, but I have not read Enchantra yet. But I literally just finished Phantasma. And then Immortal, I have as a Book of the Month audio, but I have not read it. So I'm going to go with Onyx Storm or Silver Elite. Onyx Storm. So technically, Onyx Storm was a 5-star read over Silver Elite, but I'm going to have to vote for Silver Elite as a whole. I'm sure Onyx Storm will make it to the final round anyway. So I'm going to vote for Silver Elite. Ooh, I'm seeing a book I already like in this category. Reader's favorite fantasy. I don't even have to read other books, but I'm going to read them all because I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. That was a 5-star read recently. I read it before it came out. It just came out in October and loved that book. Stephanie Garber was like a 3 to 4 star author for me. I liked her stuff, but I didn't love a lot of her stuff. The Ballad of Never After was a 5 stars and Alchemy of Secrets was a 5 stars. So I'm probably going to vote for that. All right. Have not read, have not read, have not read. No. I think I want to read that. The Sirens by Amelia Hart. I kind of want to read. Bury Our Bones in Midnight Soil is on my physical TBR, but I have not read it. I haven't read any Brandon Sanderson, but I want to. I just know he's also a commitment and he gets him out there. Holly Black, I have read the Elfhame, the Cruel Prince series, but not the one that comes after that. And I have not read Book of Night, which is her adult debut, and this is the sequel to Book of Night. Watermoon, I have not even heard of. Red City, I have. That was a Book of the Month recently, but I have not read it. Like, it was either my last month or the month before that. R.F. Kuang Catabasis, I have not read. I have not read Babel either, or any of the other ones. And then the other ones I have not read. Alexei Harrow, I have read some books by. I read The 10,000 Doors of January, and then my mom was reading Starling House, so I listened to some of the audiobook a little bit, but I haven't read The Everlasting. I'm gonna go with Alchemy of Secrets, which is technically the only one I read, but 5-star read anyway. I'm very happy to vote for that one. Science fiction. I don't read a lot of science fiction. I have been known to read it in the past, but I don't read it a lot. So I'm just gonna quickly fly through these and see if I've read any of them. No. All right, we're skipping science fiction. I haven't read them. Horror. I'm thinking of one book that might be classified as horror that I've read, but I don't read a lot of horror either. And it's on here. I thought it might be. And that is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I just read that, so I'm going to vote for that one. I really did like that one too. That was a 4.25 stars. I wouldn't classify it really as horror, but I guess it is. It's more like paranormal lit fic, but what do I know? All right, reader's favorite debut novel. I do not know. I don't always know if things are debut novels from authors or not. If it's a series and an author that I've read a lot of, then obviously I know that it's not their debut novel. But if it's like a lit fic, I don't necessarily know if it is their debut novel or not. So I'm going to skim through these and see if I've read any of them. Alchemized, right, like I said, I haven't read, but I love how Senlin Yu went with their like username for AO3 as like their author name. That's very smart of them. It was just kind of funny to me. No, I can't vote for Alchemized when I haven't technically read it in my brain, personally. Audiobook. Now, for me, I'm grappling with this idea of, do I vote for the book because I like the book with audiobook, or do I have to have read it in the audiobook format for it to count? I'm going to see what the options are to begin with, because maybe I haven't read any of it. So one of them is Atmosphere. I could vote for Atmosphere. I did read that in audiobook form and I liked it. The full cast audio of The Sorcerer's Stone, I have not read, technically. I've read The Sorcerer's Stone, but I have not read the full cast audio, so I feel like I can't do that one. Alchemized and Onyx Storm are the only other ones I mean, not Alchemized, but Onyx Storm I could vote for, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Taylor Jenkins Reid because that is the only one I have read in audiobook form. And I actually did like how they had two different narrators for the two different perspectives. They did sound kind of similar. They were both really great. So I'm going with that. Reader's favorite young adult fantasy and sci-fi. This I might have read some of. Oh, and there, yep, I'm already seeing some. The Other Post I have not read. Watch Me, I have not read. That is a part of the Shatter Me series. I just recently bought a Kindle package of all of them in the same book, which I usually hate, but it was so cheap I couldn't help it. It's like 99 cents for the whole main series. I have not started it. Wings of Starlight, I know that is Tinkerbell, animated Tinkerbell movie retelling, or the book for it. I have not read it. The Rose Bargain I have also not read, but I want to. Sunrise on the Reaping might win for me. I loved that book. That was a 5-star book. I read it twice, back to back. I didn't love all of the Hunger Games books before it. I thought the combination of books and movies together have inflated onto my perception of the books. But I haven't reread the books since I was a kid. I know I did read them as a kid. I remember reading Mockingjay specifically on my Nook, because I had a Nook, which is crazy. I don't remember them taking over my life, unlike the movies, because the movies came out right about the time I would have been reading them. So I would have had that in my brain. But Sunrise on the Reaping really, really worked for me. I'm very excited for it. So I've read that one. I have not read Our Infinite Fates, though I've heard good things about it. Fearless, I did read, and I liked it more than Reckless, but I didn't love it. Oathbound, I have not read yet because I just read Legendborn, and I'm about to start Bloodmark. I thought Oathbound was the last in the series. Apparently it's not. The next one, I haven't read. This is Marissa Meyer. I haven't read. A Forgery of Fate is Elizabeth Lim. I'll probably read that at some point. I have read the Spin the Dawn series and I liked it, and I just got 6 Crimson Cranes. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I'll probably read that at some point, but just not yet. Haven't read. That's another Tahara Mafi. Oh, This Woven Kingdom. So that's what it's talking about. Same author as Shatter Me, different series. Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews I own, but I have not read yet. It was a book of the month. Sulin Tan, she's the same author who wrote Immortal, but I haven't read that one. That's a Cinderella retelling. I'll have to read this. Immortal Consequences I have and I have not read. And Rebel Witch I have and I have not read. I have not read Heartless Hunter either. I need to get on those. Those are on my 2025 TBR. I've read over 100 books this year already. I just have issues keeping up with my TBR. All right, so I'm going to go with Sunrise on the Reaping. All right, YA fiction. Fake skating. Isn't that a fake dating romance? Do they not have YA fantasy as a separate thing? Or, I'm sorry, YA romantasy as a separate thing? I guess they don't. A lot of these look like they're romance books. I haven't read Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but I have read all of the Naturals series and then all of the main Inheritance Games books. So the trilogy and then the Brothers Hawthorne. And I have not started this next series, which is connected to the Inheritance Games, but it's the Grandest Games, Avery's version of the games. So we're following different things. I thought they were going to turn the Brothers Hawthorne into a new trilogy, and it turns out they're not, and that was just a part of the Inheritance Games book. I'm not in love with the idea of it. I liked the Naturals a lot more than the Inheritance Games. That was just more my vibe. So I'm not sure if I'll ever get to the Grandest Game and Glorious Rivals, though technically those are also both on my 2025 TBR. That is a heck of a cover. Have I read anything? Survivor Wants to Die at the End. I didn't even know he was coming out with a sequel to that. And they were roommates. I love that. All right, I haven't even heard of some of these. I gotta get into this, and they all look good. Moving on from that category, I haven't read any of those. Reader's favorite nonfiction. I don't read nonfiction very often, almost never, so I'm just gonna skim those. Have I read any of them? The answer is no. Great, moving on. Memoirs, I might have read 1 or 2. I want to read Jeremy Renner's. I have read The House of My Mother, so I'm going to vote for that one. That was very interesting. That is by Sherry Frankie, who, her mom is Ruby Frankie, who had a YouTube channel called 8 Passengers, when I was a lot younger. So Sherry and I are like almost the same age, I want to say. And so reading this book, having watched that YouTube channel when I was little, that made it all the more different. I'm sure you can still get stuff out of it if you have not had that context. I'm voting for that one since it's the only one I've read. Favorite history and biography. Have I read any of these? Probably not. No. And that's it. Okay. All right. I'm feeling very good about that. Do I submit it anywhere or am I just done? I think I'm just done. Great. So let's go back through the ones I did vote for. I didn't pick anything in fiction. Historical fiction, I went with Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Romance, I went with First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I skipped Mystery and Thriller. Romantasy, I went with Silver Elite by Danny Francis, though Onyx Storm was a really big one in there too, and I feel like that one's going to be one of the winners. Fantasy, I did Alchemy of Secrets. Skipped sci-fi. Horror, I did Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. Skipped debut novel. Audiobook, I did Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. YA fantasy sci-fi, I went with Sunrise on the Reaping. Skipped YA fiction. Skipped nonfiction. Memoir, I went with The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom by Sherry Frankie. And I skipped history and biography. Let me know what you voted for in the Goodreads Choice Awards, or if you voted, or if you've read any of those books. And you have some recommendations for me, because I'm definitely going to go through some of them and mark them as want to read. As if my TBR could get any longer. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of my content, definitely hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Caitlin Brune Books. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.